Okay, so welcome everyone. There's a few people that are rolling in now, so we're going to get started pretty quickly again today because as we all know from previous weeks, we've run over time every time. But all the guests that are on here today, don't be surprised if that happens again. We do try to stick to a time frame, but there's just so much information to share that it's hard, and then we get a lot of really valuable questions and feedback from people as well. So I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping. Firstly, I just want to welcome everyone that have come onto the panel today, because I just want to say, you know, I think it's really brave for them to come forward onto this platform in this series because they're all from other interagencies that sometimes we might have misconceptions about. And it's really nice for them to come and share exactly what they're doing in this space. And I think you're all going to be quite, you know, surprised about how much is actually happening. And I've been very lucky through Treading Lightly to see that collaboration and that support for Fire Sticks through some of these agencies and for us as well, which has been really lovely. So I'm really excited to have you all on here tonight. So thank you for giving us your time and giving the time for all of the people present that are viewing who are still rolling in one after the other. And yeah, once again, please, if you have any questions, pop them into the chat or into the Q&A and we'll address them as we go through and later on at the end. And also, yeah, ask anything that, you know, that you would like to, because once again, what you're thinking is what everybody else is thinking. So it's really nice to get the questions out there. Just be mindful and respectful, once again, that everybody that's taken their time to come on to this panel tonight has done this in their own time and, you know, willing to put themselves in this space. So if we can be respectful of that, that would be great. So yeah, I'm going to hand over to you now, Leanne. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thanks, Monica. Walawani, Jamaga, Yerubini, Mujingal, Baraga. Welcome, everybody. Good evening, friends. Welcome to Jamanya, Jamaga, Ganyi, We Talk Good Fire, brought to you by Treading Lightly, the Ulladulla Lauk and Local Land Services. We're in our 5th week, would you believe? So we've only got one left after this, and yep, tonight's going to be a really important conversation again. Welcome to our panelists. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of where I'm tuning in from today, Marmarang Yuin people, and extend that out to wherever you guys are tuning in from today. I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and good luck everyone, and let's have a lovely chat today. Oh, I just wanted to say also thanks everyone again for the shows. I know they're starting to roll in. I'm getting some really lovely feedback that they're great. Kat tonight's going to show it. She's wearing it, so when she's about to have a chat, she can show you the shirt. Oh, there she goes. Yeah, they look brilliant, so wear them with pride and start that conversation or keep that conversation going. I know we're strapped for time tonight as well as usual, so we'll kick it off with Uncle Nook.
Hello everyone. Yeah, we're in for yeah, great treat tonight. We got some very special friends that working in the science and working in, you know, the land management space, and they're undertaking, you know, a custodialship role and looking after country on our behalf. So these guys are, you know, holding big responsibility, and they're putting their foot forward and walking this journey, but also exciting for us. They're opening eyes and opening their ears, so they're listening and we're building conversations. So tonight's, we're going to listen to those conversations and yeah, and we're in for a treat. So first, you know, I'd like to introduce, you know, great friends within the National Park Service, and yeah, hand it over to you guys.
Thanks, Nook. First up, I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Michael Phelan. I'm the area manager for the Shoalhaven area of National Parks. I'm extremely pleased to say that we do have a cultural burn program in the Shoalhaven area. I think I'd be embarrassed if we didn't. On a personal level, I think all park managers have a moral obligation to facilitate opportunities for Aboriginal people to connect and care for country. As an organisation, NPWS recognises the importance of Aboriginal communities being involved in fire management and facilitating cultural burning. In this session, Damien de Bruin, who's our team leader for the fire team in the South Coast here, we'll talk briefly about the framework NPWS has adopted for supporting cultural burning on NPWS managed lands. Following Damien, Julian Doyle, who's the team leader for our rangers based in the Shoalhaven area, is going to talk briefly about our cultural burn program at Tripperina Nature Reserve. I must apologise up front that we aren't able to stick around for the full duration of this event. We're a 2-day work event, and unfortunately the kitchen here closes at 7:30, so we're just simply unable to stay for the full duration. But after our talk, we're happy to take any questions that we can sneak in. Before I do hand over though, I do want to acknowledge Noel Webster, or Nook. He's been the driving force behind the cultural burn program in the Shoalhaven area. I just want to give Noel that full credit there and send my appreciation, Noel, to you. And while I have the opportunity, treading lightly, I just want to extend my thanks for the great support, the tremendous support that you guys provided us over the fire season. I've said this before, but it meant a lot, the support and the appreciation that you guys extended over what was a really tough summer period. I'm going to hand over to to Damien now. So I'm just going to shift the camera over.
G'day all, Damien de Bruin here. Yeah, as Michael said, national parks, as you'd expect, we've got a cultural burn policy. It's been around for approximately 4 years, and it's basically there to facilitate community undertaking cultural burns on national park estate. It's the first time we've had a policy in relation to cultural burning, and it's in its infancy. And as we progress with, you know, the programs across national parks around the state, this policy will evolve as, you know, we learn from our experience. It's really great to see that, you know, we're moving ahead. Like I said, been around for 4 years. Down the South Coast, we got our first burn in last year, so it's taken a bit of time. But great to see that, you know, we're starting to get some progress. So the policy outlines where, when and how, where we burn. So it establishes in terms of, you know, where community, when they approach us, the terms of where we'd likely undertake burning on national park estate. And that comes down to pretty much safety. I'm sure you can all appreciate fuel loads are quite variable on national park estate, and where there is some concern about control of fire and obviously onto surrounding lands, that we just need to ensure that, you know, fire that we implement on park estate remains on park estate. Following that, we've got some guidelines that basically details all through that process, that basically just helps facilitate community in terms of approaching national parks and when we'll do all that, when we will try to do this work. So these documents are available for the public. They're on our internet site, so environment.nsw.gov.au. So yeah, feel free to have a look at the detail. Like I said, this is the first iteration, so it's been great that, you know, we've finally got a burn on the South Coast up and running. On the South Coast, we've actually got 2 programs. As Michael said, we've got one at Tripperina around Nowra, and which we're fortunate that we've got a burn up and running with community there. We've also got a program down south between Bermagui and Bega in the Murra forest through there. We're yet to implement a burn, but we're in the process of working with community there to get some burns happening in the near future. So I won't go into too much more detail. The guidelines, as I said, are more about safety for all personnel on the ground and community members. But I'll hand over to Julianne Doyle to discuss the program that we've undertaken at Triple Arena.
Hello. All right. So I'm just going to take you through some photos at the same time. Hopefully they share correctly. There we go. So I was new to the South Coast 2 years ago, and I was told, guess what, Jules? You're going to help implement cultural burning. And it was great. I was really looking forward to getting to know my new community. And this was a way to meet some people and have just this fantastic experience. It's one of my favourite things is actually interacting with community on country. So it was right up my alley. So my job was to make sure that this could happen and that it could happen safely. So I got to look into our policy, set up a volunteer database, all the behind the scenes things that makes this possible. And then I got to spend 2 days with Nook and his crew, just really slowly burning a small section of Triple Arena. It was quite different to any other burn that I'd been to. So I'd been to a few wildfires and a few hazard reduction burns, but this is something completely different. So just the relaxed atmosphere, nobody was on their toes or concerned, there were no hoses. It was just one single ignition and then just let it trickle. Lots and lots of time for really good chats and a really good chance to connect with people and with country. So anybody in the Shoalhaven in Parks who was interested was able to come down and interact as well. So this is our first turn at having a cultural burn. So we wanted to start really, really slow, build our relationships, get to know each other and get to figure out what we can do within the policy. And that's exactly what we did. And I was just really thoroughly enjoyed the entire process. And I'm really glad that I had it before we went through this last fire season that we did, so that I had lots of different experiences with fire that I could compare to. As you'll see, I took a stack of photos. This isn't something that I normally have the time to do while at a fire. So I got to sit on a log in the middle of the burn area and chat to my new friend Joel and discuss all sorts of things, not just fire, but park management as well. And I could see everybody else was breaking off as well. You'd have a parkie having a really good chat to somebody from the RFS or somebody from the university or from the traditional owners who were there to share with us. And we were able to share our experiences of fire together and learn from each other. So it was just a fantastic experience, and we're looking at building our program. So my role here is to facilitate. So when Nook says, this is what we'd like to do, it's my job to figure out a way that we can make it happen and make it happen safely. So we've got Triple Arena as our test site. So hopefully over the next 5 years, we'll start to really see the benefits of cultural burning and have a really good case study and know each other really well and what we can and can't achieve within the policy.
Hey, thanks, Jules. Can you share the photos a bit better? Click on a few comments when they can't view the photos.
Oh no.
Just click through them. So look, I've been click through them. I'll have a bit of a chat about this project. I was quite privileged, you know, to to be able to put some, you know, like our first fire on National Park Estate. It's been empowering, you know, moment for us. There was a few hiccups along the way, and you know, we govern, you know, by some red tape and some requirements and policy and like that. But the willingness within the parks crew to sort of kick this off the ground and get it moving and push it forward, we pay huge respect towards that. This was a special moment for me, this reserve here, because me, and I'm probably embarrassed to say it, that I have put some bad fire into this reserve, and it was a healing process for me to come back and put some good fire in there. So it's a long time journey, and I did scorch canopy in that reserve, but it was all about part of my learning and my understanding, because I had to drive past that canopy because this reserve was right next to my home where I lived, and so I had strong attachment there. So every day I could see a little burnt patch of canopy. So that was the messaging from country, and country being boss telling me, you know, like, you need to sort of like settle down and craft your skills and learn it. So we this reserve, you know, there's aspirations, you know, we're going to do a cultural fire management, you know, across the whole reserve, and which is quite exciting. So not only we're doing cultural fire burn practices, there's outcomes around protecting threatened species and making communities safe. But the big thing for me, the big picture was the dialogue and the communications between our community and with national parks. There was a reciprocal relationship where there's two ways of learning, where we got to have the expression and understanding and interpret fire from a Western science framework and methodology, and also an Indigenous view and a way of learning and a practice and a science there. So we're really excited about this project and what the future may hold here. And you know, and I think it's groundbreaking. It's been such a privilege that we've been able to like put some fire in, you know, in a public reserve and space, which has sort of been challenging, but very, very rewarding as well.
And as you can see from the photos, right behind houses too. So, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, so it was great. Look, challenging, but you know, that's, you know, only a small dot. We got there's a lot of work to do, and you know, we've been talking to Michael, the manager, and you know, about the, you know, opportunities for expansion and how we move forward and building capacity and engaging more community. So yeah, I think, you know, like, I respect, you know, the approach and the willingness to sort of learn and share knowledge and to move forward in one direction. You know, I think this was like a learning capacity and outcome, but also we want to start a conversation about healing landscape and the impacts of the wildfire that we see. So yeah, watch this space, and thanks to my parky friends for walking this journey, and I'm hoping we can continue, you know, to travel this path and walk this journey together. So thanks very much from me, my Fire Sticks boy, Mudjingal Burrigas, and our whole community, you know, and together as one, you know, we can make change and make difference. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nook, and like I said before, look, full credit to you, Noel, for making this happen. Look, unfortunately we do have only less than 10 minutes where we can stick around for before the kitchen closes and we miss out on dinner. We're happy to take any questions that anyone has. Yeah,
I emailed a list of nasty ones out to everyone, so we'll pick and choose and give them the hard ones to start with. Stirring, but yeah, go for it, guys. Jump in. I can't see the comments, so Mon, maybe you can do it.
I'll just say, yeah, I think that there was a lovely comment on here saying, beautiful, there's two ways of learning coming together with reciprocity, and it's beautiful, which is so true. You know, it's about a continual growth and learning together, and as Uncle Victor said some time ago, it's about, you know, getting in the driver's seat and the passenger seat together and changing over and just going hand in hand, which is obviously, you know, really beautiful to see you doing this. Yeah, NPWS, I'm so proud. And I know my daughter will be too. I'm just seeing if there's any other questions. We haven't had any other questions coming through yet. So, oh, here we go. We've got one from Kylie Harris. Are you engaging with politicians to facilitate the incorporation of cultural burning into Australia's climate policy? Example, the Green New Deal, etc.
Yeah, that's an interesting and challenging question, that one. Look, at our level, at our operational level in the Shoalhaven area, we're not directly engaging above in that topic per se, but we know as an organisation that is topical, and it is something that's communicated up. And, you know, you would have seen in the New South Wales fire inquiry, that was a key part of the findings, the connections between climate change and what we saw over the last summer. So it is very topical. That conversation is, I know, is happening at a higher level, but unfortunately I'm not privy to that myself, so I can't elaborate too much there.
Sorry, thank you, Michael. That's, you know, it's a tough question to answer, that one. And I think we're just at the very start of the crossroads, especially since the Royal Commission inquiry, and there's a lot of things about to change and happen, I'd imagine. And yeah, it's good to see you 1 foot in front of that, which is really exciting. So I think, yeah, that can only be a good thing. I've also had a question from Marianne Cool, just out of interest, who funds cultural burning activities in the Shoalhaven? And I think Nook, I know Nook, a lot of this stuff is done for absolute nothing. These guys just pour their heart and soul into this and they don't get remunerated at all. But I'll let you answer that between you, NPWS and Nook.
Yep, our policy, so that the practitioners are covered by insurance, they need to be volunteers. So if they're looking to work under National Parks insurance, the community need to be in under our volunteer policy.
Look, it's one of those catches, I guess. One day, cultural burning might advance to a stage where communities are able to have their own equipment, their own insurances and stuff to protect themselves. In today's day and age, I think it is important, unfortunately. I guess one of the framework decisions that was made that Damien's talked about was capturing what we call practitioners to be covered under our volunteer program. When you're registered in our volunteer program, you're covered by the government's insurance framework, so that if someone is injured, they're going to be looked after. And look, things can go wrong, even in cool burns. Whether it be a falling branch or tree, someone rolls their ankle, or, you know, worse, the insurance is important. That's why the volunteer angle. But it's not to say that in the future, people who are involved in cultural burning won't be paid. I know as a government organisation, they're always exploring opportunities, and they've got their fingers out now, looking at opportunities to expand cultural burning, and perhaps there's opportunities to contribute funding or engage people on a professional level. Noel, I'll hand over to you. And look, Mono, as you said, there's certainly a lot of time invested, you know, on their own time freeing, and it's a challenge for Noel to, you know, going forward and thinking about how they can expand this program and keep people engaged, etc. It is a challenge. And you know, the Royal Commission touched on this topic to some extent, but like a lot of commissions and inquiries, it does take some time before you see the fruits of those recommendations coming out into reality.
All right, thanks for that. 2 parts for that for me. Firstly, if anyone's an insurance broker out there and you can provide insurance for us, please get on our back, because no one's going to touch us. That's why we work with these guys, you know, because they got the frameworks and then policies in place. But our payment and our rewards, you know, like developing these projects and working with communities and especially our friends at Park. So that's our payment, you know, looking after country and seeing the healthy landscape. So that's remuneration for us. That's all we need, and that's all we want, you know. So that's who we are. That's what we want. So that's the outcome. So, you know, while there's no monetary value on it, like, but it's invaluable, like the connections and, you know, the journey we just started. But before I'm going to let these guys off the hook, I thought there was a pretty cool question I can see now from Bella Peacock. Can you guys see that one? Yeah. I like that, but if you could answer that before you sort of go and have dinner and stuff. Oh, Rita says, do you feel, is that in bolded or?
Yeah. to advocate to other government agencies after your experience working with community on cultural burns? I love the idea of networking and shared experiences. I'd be more than happy to share our experience within the Shoalhaven with other agencies if they wanted to get in touch, and I'd love to hear from other people who are doing cultural burns, and it's always two ways together. We grow together.
All right, before I let you off talk, Jules, those amazing photos, would you be able to share them somewhere? Like talk them on?
All time.
No, talk them on, and we might be able to post them on Facebook or something, eh?
Yeah, I can share them. We can share them, definitely. That would be lovely. It would be nice to share that through the Facebook platform, because people that aren't on the webinar tonight can still see them and see what NPWS are doing in terms of supporting cultural burning. So that would be fantastic. Yeah, and maybe just a little few lines to go with it would be great. And we'll just grab you one more thing, because this is a really good question. I own a property next to Moreton National Park. Will NPWS engage owners like me to conduct cultural burning in the national park next to my land?
So engage the owner, the neighbour, to burn on park?
So they're obviously backing onto national parks and wildlife land, and they're looking at possibly conducting cool burn on that adjoining land, from what I can gather. Would they contact you in regards to that, or would they contact Fire Sticks?
If they make contact with us, we're happy to explore those opportunities. There's a few steps to go through and make sure they're representing the right land. We've got the right people for the right areas, etc., and that the program can be conducted in an appropriate manner. So we're happy to explore that. I think first and foremost for us, I think the really important step is to help facilitate Noel's program that he's already got off the ground, and make sure that we can continue to invest in that amongst all the different priorities that we have. We've really got to make sure that we can continue to contribute to Noel's program that's already up and running, and it's potentially expanding in the future. I just want to use that as a conduit, but one of the things that we didn't mention today, that there is monitoring done, and there's an evaluation of the values that are being presented by the cultural burning here. I think there's a presentation coming up in this series here that is going to elaborate on that one, but we're keen to explore the learnings just from being on ground, but we're also the science, better words, is telling us as well in regards to this one.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is the intentions for the cultural burns, as people realising it's not necessarily just hazard reduction, but there's so much more that goes along with that. And also to keep in mind that I know personally from my interaction with you guys how much you are under the pump since the fires in so many other areas as well. So to even be having the opportunity to share some of that precious time that you don't have supporting projects like Nooks is really such a great start. And I know some things seem to take a long time to happen, but eventually I guess they do, and it's really nice for everyone to hopefully just be patient with that a little bit as well, because I know you guys are under a lot of pressure at the moment.
Yeah, look, Jules alluded to it. There is a lot, and Damien to an extent, there is a lot behind this. It's not as simple as just going out and lighting up a match. There is a lot of planning that goes on behind to make sure that the participants are safe, but also, park neighbours are safe. In any burn that we conduct, whether it be a hazard reduction burn or a cultural burn, it's critically important to make sure that it's going to stay on the lot that we're trying to burn and not creep out. It's always a risk. It's risky business with burning, and even cultural burning, cool burning presents a risk, and doing it properly is worth that time, and building the relationships and that common understanding is part of the success there. It does take a bit of time, unfortunately, but I think, we're going to, as we're learning more, and, as an organisation, we've got stuff to learn, things will progress more quickly in the future, I think.
And that's the key, getting it right. So it's a really positive experience moving forward and supports what Uncle Nook is doing, you know, in the future. So yeah, thank you.
I do apologise. We do have to do a runner because we are literally going to miss out on dinner if we battle out. So I really apologise that we couldn't be here for the duration. This is a really important discussion, and I just want to close by saying that, you know, we're 100% supportive of trying to help facilitate Aboriginal communities that want to do the burning, and what Nook's put forward to us and that we're trying to support to be, I'm really proud of, and I'm really pleased to be involved. Thanks again, Nook, for your time.
We recorded all that, so I'll come knocking on your door. So thanks so much for them kind words.
You do already, Nook.
Yeah, appreciate it. Go and enjoy the football.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm paying for Queensland, so I'm not going to enjoy it tonight, I've got a feeling.
All right. Thanks so much. Thanks, guys, for coming on board and and supporting us in our endeavours and our aspirations to start looking after, you know, and creating healthy country and landscapes and community. So thank you.
All right, thanks, and thanks, Dean and Mon and everyone else.
Thank you. Thanks,
Bye.
guys. We've had a viewer say bon appetit.
Oh, thank you.
Hello, Marty. But, I'm just going to do a quick shout out. I just read one of these. Kylie Harris, how are you? Say hello to Andre for me, please. Know him quite well and love him, and he's doing fantastic work down in Tassie. So, yeah, maybe we can get Andre on next week. So, write that down. So, thanks for the heads up and the tip there. So, we might do that one. So, yeah, give him a heads up, Andre, that we're going to track him down. Great pleasure for me now to introduce our next guest. And I was quite taken back last week about you know, like the young women like stepping up and really presenting and moving forward. And this young lady I met probably 12 months ago, maybe a little bit more, and she's been doing some fabulous work with Indigenous Rangers, particularly around our ladies and our women and our knowledge and creating pathways and sort of passage, you know, into this space. So yeah, so it's no surprise to me now that Rosie she's moved up, you know, she's gone from like on the practical ground, implementing knowledge and undertaking practice to a more strategic approach and engagement and going broadly. So, yeah, so now she's working for WWF, not the World Wrestling Federation, but what is it? You'll have to help me out there, please. But Rosie, just a lovely young woman and, you know, leader within our community, doing great things for everyone.
Oh, well, thanks for the lovely intro, Nook. Yeah, so share my screen. Give me 1 second. Do that. Is it working? Can you see?
Yes, yeah, but you won't be able to.
Okay. All right. So yeah, my name is Rosie. I'm a saltwater and freshwater woman of the Buttawang people, which is part of the Yuin Nation and Doga language group. I'm pretty new to WWF. I've only been here a couple months. I'm the Women Rangers Environmental Network Coordinator, REN Coordinator for short. Before that, I was a manager and a ranger myself of an Indigenous ranger team in the Illawarra, which is where I first had the privilege of connecting with fire sticks. I attended the Barmer camp, and Uncle Nook worked with my team and I to share some of his fire knowledge as we were trying to do a cultural burn. So before I get started, I just want to say I'll be speaking mostly from my personal experience, as I just want to portray my perspective. I'm not trying to represent all of WWF or all Indigenous women or people. So WWF has some plans to respond to the bushfire, and there's a couple of key things I'll talk about today. So we do want to support the revitalisation of Indigenous culture fire management in the southeast, particularly where it was ravaged by the fires, and the continuation and expansion of our Women Rangers network. So there are three main pillars in which most people assess cultural burns, them being the social benefits, hazard reduction, and the conservation benefits. And I feel like it's pretty widely agreed that there's enormous social benefits, and they're huge, and we could talk about them for ages, and sometimes it's really hard to put into words that feeling of looking after your country. And then hazard reduction, I feel like that's growing momentum and getting appreciation. Like as stated in the Royal Commission on Monday, there's a growing recognition of the value of Indigenous land management and fire management practices as a way to mitigate against the bushfires. And there is evidence from Charles Darwin Uni that after burning half the land that got ruined was, sorry, the land that was destroyed by wildfire halved. But WWF is especially interested in the conservation benefits, and I feel like this is the area where a lot of the world still needs convincing. If you look again at the Bushfire Royal Commission report, it just says we were also told of the improved ecological resilience of Indigenous fire management. So yeah, I feel like this is something we could be pushing for, and it's where I personally see the opportunity for government to support and for people like Fire Sticks to get paid, although, you know, it's lovely they're doing it for free and it's amazing and it's the only way this could happen. I think a lot of us think they should be getting paid for the amazing knowledge that they have. And why don't councils spend some of maybe the bush regen budget or the environmental budget in general on implementing cultural burns because of the huge environmental effects. So here we've got Bega Lauk sent us a photo where after the day after they did their first cultural burn, there was a pottery sighted there for the first time in 6 years. And another example of the huge conservation benefits is the carbon credits in the Kimberley, where they compare the tons of carbon released by a wildfire to that in cultural burns, and they'll sell the difference to major companies to help them offset their own like emissions. So the benefits is huge in carbon tons. So my specific area, just jumping across because we can't forget the women, is conservation and women ranges. So IPAs, or Indigenous protected areas, account for Australia's most biodiverse regions. So it's pretty essential. We work with traditional owners, not just for access, permission, and respect, but to learn from them, to evaluate and implement those land management techniques which have proven successful and to which our country has evolved with for thousands of years. The distinct roles and responsibilities of us women are often not known or recognised, as they can be secret and sacred, and often we are then prevented from carrying out this aspect of our culture. Some of the most important areas of biodiversity and Indigenous land management techniques are women's business, and yet women are less than 30% of the ranger workforce in Australia. Yet we know that increasing the education of and training of Indigenous women has a positive flow effect on the social, emotional and cultural well-being of their whole communities, as well as enhancing a healthy country. A national REN program we're hoping will help to provide access to the tools, resources and cultural knowledge transfers or sharing opportunities that will support them enhancing their leadership impact and voice within and beyond their local communities, including having their voices heard by those who hold power and authority to make decisions, being local, state, federal government. So REN's been operating in the Kimberley, North Queensland for the past 2 years. We've developed ranger hubs, we call them, with coordinators that allow for a network of exchange. There've been really successful regional forums where the women come together, share knowledge, things they've learned, inspire and support each other. And at the moment we're expanding, including working with teams in East Arnhem Land, helping with a Women Rangers team establishment in Victoria, where they're also going to be doing a cultural burn on their property. And recently just connected up with my own mob, at Wreck Bay. There's a new ranger team there with 4 new women, which is great because there's 4 men and there's 4 women. And we're really hoping we'll be able to have a national forum, COVID allowing, next year. So to conclude, as someone who's worked for both Indigenous and non-Indigenous agencies. I just wanted to put some things out there that get asked of me so much, of like, why can't we go ahead and do the burns, and what should the agencies be doing to support? And then in general, I helped someone put this up the other day. It was just a few things you could do in your agency to make it more culturally safe and inclusive, and because we're all Australian and it's all our history, I think we should take pride in it. I'm not going to read everything out, but that's my little suggestions. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. And if there are any women rangers out there listening, Indigenous women rangers that want to connect, or in general, if you want to connect, there's my email.
Yeah, thanks, Rosie. I'm sort of like speechless now, and you know, the work you're doing. But what it does to me, and highlights the you know, the fire stories right across all of country, and the value of the networking and how you're bringing people together to share that fire story, and that's what we're doing on a local level, reaching out to you guys and all that, and you know, we're creating a great network of friends and in that fire space. So yeah, no, thanks, appreciate it. And yeah, like young Anne last week, she was Buttawang, so, and she's stepping up, really surprising us. So
we must be related because she knows Uncle Noel Butler. I saw that.
Yeah, so yeah, so that's exciting. So we're mob and family. So, but we're all in it together, and we're traveling this wonderful journey together. So I don't know if any questions popped up, Mon.
Oh, sorry to unmute myself.
So I probably spoke so fast. I was nervous.
No, you're doing great. Well done.
No, Rosie, oh my gosh, that was amazing. And I took a quick little video on my phone to share in the meantime before Dean gets this up and running, because like that is so inspiring. You know, as a woman, as a non-Indigenous woman, I just really, you know, envy, well, not envy because that's the wrong word, but yeah, I just, I'm really inspired by the work you're doing, and the likes of Emily and all the women on here last week, and then we're going to hear from Catherine and yeah, everyone. It's just really, really beautiful. Thank you, Rosie. That was a fantastic presentation. I know we're going to get a flood of people saying the same thing. I've already got people saying that was an awesome presentation. Thank you so much. That was Carmel. Jonathan said, thanks, Rosie. Incredible work. Melissa Henry says, very amazing, Rosie. Thank you. I know she's a local Indigenous woman as well. Yeah, so inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, cool.
Great. So have we got you up next, Catherine, or is it Simon?
Yeah, no, we got Kat next, and get your little daughter to say hello for us.
I know, and this is
Rosie,
Rosie too.
Rosie.
Hello, Rosie. You can say hello to another Rosie.
Hi, Rosie.
Yes, we got Kat. We started a journey a few years ago and engaging with science at Wollongong Uni, and Kat come along as part of the research, as a researcher, but quickly become part of the fire network and the family and the friends. So you know, and the work and the academia, what she's been involved in, and is putting our voices into those places where it needs to be heard, and it's formatted, you know, for, you know, like the decision makers to look at and take notice, and but she has an amazing ability to capture like the Indigenous voice and communicate it. So she's like our conduit, how we can express, you know, to higher levels, you know, like, and I think it's amazing that, you know, we got non-Indigenous friends like traveling this journey, and we're going to meet a few more, you know, along this, and even tonight, you know. So this is special and empowering for me, and but you know, like they become family, and we travel this journey, and we're all in it together. So we're grateful, you know, for that participation and that involvement, and to stepping up and taking off, and there she comes back. So Yeah, so I had to jumble some words there, try and hold space for you. But yeah, look, it's a privilege to introduce my friend from well, our friend, all our friend, friend for country, friend for community, is Kat from Wollongong Uni. So welcome, Kat.
Thank you so much, Nook. That was such a lovely introduction, and good evening, everybody. So my name is Kat, and I was born in Wales. I went to university in England. I did my PhD fieldwork in the Caribbean. I moved to Australia in 2005 for a job at Macquarie University, and I'm now based at the University of Wollongong, and I live in Kiama on beautiful Darawal country. So I'm a human geographer and research the social and policy dimensions around environmental change. My methods usually involve in-depth interviews or ethnographic research or participatory action research, where we run an initiative with community to reduce risks or for community development. My work has always been very applied with the aim to sort of make changes with policy and practice. And I'm currently working with the Bushfire Hub on a project around cultural burning. And I'm still in the first phase of this research, but I've had the immense privilege to travel around New South Wales and have sort of in-depth conversations with people around their journeys around cultural burning. And I'll present on this tonight. It's still in the early stages, and because of COVID, I had to put a bit of a pause on the fieldwork. And also due to the bushfires last summer, I've been seconded to work on a project gathering people's experiences of what happened last summer. And I'm not Aboriginal, and I think it's important to be thoughtful and cognizant of my positionality and my identity as a researcher learning about cultural burning. I'm very conscious that my role is certainly not to speak on behalf of anyone. My role is to elevate Aboriginal voices into the research and policy realm to ensure that cultural burning is better supported. And it's for this reason that everyone I speak to, all the interviews I've done, I ask people if they're happy to have their name recorded next to their interviews, because I just think it's so important that they're acknowledged for their contribution and everything that I present. And this research is partnered with Fire Sticks Alliance and the Mujingal Baraga Fire Sticks crew and a range of other groups around New South Wales. I'd like to acknowledge Country, who nourishes and supports all of this research, and of course everybody that's taken the time to sit down with me and be interviewed. So I'll now share my slides. So this research explores how engagement in cultural burning leads to cultural renewal and cultural revitalisation, and how this links with resilience and well-being. As Addo says in this quote, we're finally getting to learn who we are and what we are about. All my interviews have been in-depth conversations led by participants. They've mostly been conducted outside, on country, and somewhere meaningful to participants. I like listening back to the recordings and hearing country as well as participants' voices. When I interviewed Uncle Nook, it was in Bundanon, not long after the fires had passed through last summer, and there were still helicopters in the air. Listening back to that conversation about the grief and anger about the fires with the whir of the helicopters in the air is very poignant. In other interviews, you hear the wind, birds, insects, so they're all having their say. Participants discussed that while hazard reduction is the aim for prescribed burning, it's just one of many outcomes from cultural burning. While it was acknowledged that cultural burning can reduce fuel loads and risks, the reasons for undertaking a burn were for holistic benefits for country, a reference that refers to everything in the landscape, all living things, including humans, elements, and the connections between them. An important distinction was that hazard reduction applies a uniform methodology of burning. People are seen as separate from the landscape, whereas cultural burning is sensitive to environmental and cultural needs. People have a relationship with that landscape. They're part of it. It is country that leads when the time is right, not the needs of humans to reduce fuel loads. It's about connecting with families and communities to fulfill obligations and responsibilities to care for country. In this way, caring for country is seen as a reciprocal and spiritual relationship, a two-way relationship, where care is provided and received in return. Importantly, as was stated in the third quote, It's not just how people connect to country, but also how country connects to people. Everything in the landscape is communicating with everything else. And when we're doing mainstream hazard reduction burning, we are not part of that conversation. We are not listening to country. The benefits of place-based cultural activities for healthy country and healthy people are well documented in the academic literature. As explained in this quote, and a view echoed by all participants, cultural fire is an extremely valuable pathway for connecting people back to country. And as Ollie says here, we've seen through colonisation, a lot of Aboriginal communities have become very fractured. People have lost connection with the land. And in a cultural context, it's like, well, who are you then? If you don't have a connection with the land and you're not connected to your community. What defines people's culture is their practice. And so people have become removed from that practice. The idea is that we reinvigorate people's understanding of connection to country and community by using fire as a pathway for that. People reflected on their journeys towards cultural burning. They discussed their sadness at not being connected to culture, frustrations with knowing Western models of looking after the land were not only bad for the environment, but not working for people. They talked about mental health issues, failing in Western education systems, and failing in the workforce. They talk about a void which they don't know how to fill. They also discuss how hard it was to engage with cultural burning. They talk about how they're not supported or taken seriously and not funded. They've been ignored, disappointed, and faced delay after delay. Too much bureaucracy, too much red tape, too much paperwork. People also spoke about their grief of the devastation from the fires of last summer and immense frustrations at not being able to have been practicing more cultural burning. Participants also stated how they had learned that caring for country was much more than simply caring for the environment and had a deeper meaning about taking care of themselves. They discussed how their spiritual, physical, and mental health had improved once they started learning and engaging back on country. Participants discussed an empowering journey of healing themselves and the environment and an increase in their pride and confidence. And this is a quote here from Nook. I love it. Having that interaction, it's a great feeling. I think you're picking up the emotions of what's happening in the landscape and the environment because you're healing that, you're healing yourself. It's just an empowering journey. It strengthened my connection to country. It's not just applying fire, it's pre and post and all that as well. It's connected me. It was a part of my journey that's been missing for a long time. People talked about an increase in their pride and confidence, proud of themselves and proud of their Aboriginal heritage, and much more confident in their work they were doing. As these two quotes from Mera and Keisha, the Minyamai, I thought taking care of country was cleaning weeds. There's a deeper meaning to taking care of country. It's taking care of yourself. I'm happier. It's made me more confident in my work and everything else. The holistic benefits are well described in the quote below by a young cultural burning practitioner, Ada Webster. He discusses how his engagement with cultural burning has filled a void that was created through the Western education system that did little to acknowledge or connect him to his cultural heritage. Through cultural burning, he is connecting to culture and finally learning about his true identity. We're finally getting to learn who we are and what we're about. For our mental health, it's huge. For our physical health and our spirit, it does all the right things. It's crazy how much a bit of fire can do for people. So people talked about their spiritual health in addition to their physical and mental health. Some people talked about quite profound spiritual experiences. They also talked about how they'd become more resilient to knocks and stresses in general and how other aspects of their life had improved. They talked about new opportunities to travel, to meet others, to share knowledge, about being empowered and recognised by those outside the Indigenous community as having important knowledge, how there was a momentum and they were part of a movement. They also discussed the joy of passing on their knowledge to younger generations and seeing how knowledge, practice and connection to country was growing. Utilising cultural burning as a pathway was felt to be particularly beneficial for encouraging an interest for younger people. As Andy White states, we need young people standing up and growing that connection back with country, gets them away from other negative outlets, back to a sense of self-worth. They are lost. They haven't got a journey at the moment. Uncle Les goes on to say how he has seen young people change straight away because they're into their burning, and now they're into tool making and everything. A number of challenges were discussed, including that people felt they often needed to compromise culturally in order to conduct burns that complied with fire and land management policy, such as restrictions on who can attend a burn, wearing PPE designed for hot, not cool burning, burns managed and led by agencies, not fire sticks groups, and the timing and location of burns. It was felt there was a power imbalance. Those with the knowledge to burn culturally were not able to do so. People also discussed the danger of cultural burning being taken or manipulated to suit other needs, such as to get more area burnt and to reduce fuel. Although called cultural burns, these fires were often not burnt through good cultural frameworks and protocols. The real challenges discussed was the need for increased long-term investment to build knowledge and confidence and to support initiatives to actually get people back on country and enable that cultural revitalisation, and to ensure there are livelihood opportunities for Aboriginal people to earn a good living by conducting burns governed by strong cultural protocols. All participants felt there was too much of a dominance of small projects with finite timelines. It was stated that many Aboriginal people not employed in land management were using their own time and funds to learn and engage with cultural burning. So I just wanted to quickly share a couple of other projects that I'm working on. And the first is a collaboration between University of Wollongong, DPI and the Brungle Tumut Aboriginal Land Council. It's a project on Walgaloo and Wiradjuri country, and we're working with community to reinvigorate cultural stories of corroboree frog and explore new ways to support cultural revitalisation and renewal. And we're hoping to do cultural burning here on Mickalong Swamp. And here you can see Dave Hunter from DPI. He's the frog guy, and we've got a group of kids there, Aboriginal kids from the Tumut school, and they're looking at tadpoles. And there's corroboree frog, which is Gaiak in the local language. And the other is a youth-centred cultural burning workshop that we're going to run in May next year. And this is with Uncle Nook and Ollie, and it's supported by Treading Lightly and Monica. And the aim is to test out a methodology for supporting young people aged 15 to 18 to connect to culture and country. We'll be running a 2-day workshop led by local youth leaders with the support of Fire Sticks elders. And we use cultural burning as a pathway for connecting to and looking after country. And the aim is really to create a safe environment where young people can share, engage with cultural activities, and they feel empowered. And we're also going to support the young people to make videos where they can film some of the workshop and reflect and sort of talk about what they're learning. And we're also going to have a professional filmmaker who's going to help the kids and teach them how to make these films, and also make an overarching film. And we're going to put that all together and have a community screening sometime after the workshop so that we can help, because young people are probably one of the groups that face the greatest challenges to get their voices heard. So this is one method that we're hoping to sort of amplify those voices and also spread the word about what we're doing. So I'm just going to leave you with 2 quotes from Noel and from Ollie. There will be change, we can feel it, and country is speaking. It's found its voice in people. Thank you very much for listening.
Oh, thank you, Catherine. I'm going to let Uncle Nook speak, but before he does, I'm just so inspired to hear all the work that you're doing, hear those stories, and to know that as non-Indigenous people, we can actually respectfully support the voice of Indigenous people. And I look at this and I look at the project that we're going to be involved with in the future with the young people. And I see this as a beautiful time of change where we can start to heal the past as well between non-Indigenous and Indigenous people, and really, foster that sense of belonging and identity for our Indigenous people and our young people. And I'm so proud to work alongside you and do that. So, and Uncle Nook and everyone. So thank you. You're doing amazing work.
Oh, thank you, Monica, and thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, Kat's got this amazing ability to attach emotion to these presentations, and it took me off on a journey just sitting there watching it and reading those quotes, and I got emotional and I got lost in that space, and it just sort of it's hard to describe, you know, like all these emotions started to bottle up, and how we move forward. So you capture that, and it's an amazing ability to be able to do that and share that. But it just reinforces like the journey we need to undertake, and you know how we all got to work together to get there. And a quote in there, like you said, you know, from Uncle Les, you know, the younger people are standing up, and we've seen this right through, you know, this webinar series. You know, our young leaders like stepping up, you know, like Indigenous, non-Indigenous, and that always gives me hope. It gives me future, and that's what I cling to, because that's what I need, and that gets me over the line. So, well, you might, you know, put me there thinking I'm doing this and that. I'm not. I'm clinging to you guys, and you're providing inspiration that sort of pushes me along and creates that journey and that empowerment for me. So that's what moves me and gets me moving forward. And so yeah, so it's for me to be able to see that, like it's so rewarding, and I can't thank everyone enough to do that. And it's all about this knowledge and providing and, you know, working together. And my word of the week is it's gone. It is knowledge, and that's what I'm putting out there. And so, you know, we're seeing it. We've got science knowledge, we've got public land management knowledge, we've got young people knowledge, we got, you know, Indigenous knowledge, we got non-Indigenous knowledge. And what we do, you know, that knowledge, that's what comes together, and that's what fuels our fire. So we need to, you know, continue to get this knowledge and share it and mold it and craft it, you know, and give it voice and give it language, and share it and put it out there. And speaking of knowledge leads me into our next guest. And I was quite privileged to work with this young man's father. And I say I'm going to leave the best for last. And I'm only saying that because I'm stringing him along for all night, and he's given up his story time with his young baby girl. So thanks, Simon, for that. But I worked with his father in on the other side of the fence in a Western framework, and so he taught me about like the conservation movement and the frameworks through science, and it's molded my journey, and it gave me understanding to have discussions, you know, in this space. So it set me up. He gifted me with like a Western knowledge system, but be able to combine that with Indigenous understanding and practice is sort of quite unique, and it's a journey we need to mould and mend and put together. So I have to acknowledge his father, Greg Tedder. You know, he's taught me so much, and he doesn't know and he's not aware of it, but he has shaped my journey and pushed me and put me from where I am, and created like this knowledge that about land management through a different framework. But now with the combination of Indigenous knowledge and merging them to knowledge systems together is our way forward and into the future. But investing this knowledge in our young people, you know, that's the journey that sort of takes me and pushes me along and empowers me. So I'd like to introduce my great friend and, you know, a leader and an inspiration, and yeah. And he's not so young now. I think he's had a couple of milestones birthday, and he's nudging over 30. So, but not so young. Yeah, Simon Tedder. So I worked with his dad. He used to red pen my work, and so now Simon's taken it on. And you know, I thought I was creative, writing some good stuff. But yeah, he's taken the red pen from his dad, and he sort of helps me sort of voice in a more I don't know, sort of scholarly or professional manner. So yeah, thank you for that. So here's Simon Tedder, everyone.
Thanks, Nook, and thanks for that intro, and thanks for inviting me to speak this evening. And I guess I have to acknowledge the relationship as well that you and my father had, and how that's shaped my values and my appreciation for cultural land management and Aboriginal land management, and I guess my own personal aspirations to pursue that within a government framework, and provide opportunities for self-determination in land management for Aboriginal people in the privileged position that I sit in as the community engagement officer with the Biodiversity and Conservation Division. And it was interesting that Nook was talking about the Western science aspect of his journey here, and because I guess that's where I wanted to start off to provide a little bit of context, because one of the programs that we deliver at Biodiversity and Conservation Division is a funding program called Saving Our Species. Saving Our Species was started in about 2017. It was a 5-year program, so we're reaching the end of the program, but the way it was structured was really an archaic system in a way, and it really champions that old way where Western conservation is sort of separated from the cultural heritage and cultural values, and that, you know, cultural values are seen as archaeological issues and sites and rock art, and instead of, you know, the cultural values associated with caring for country, flora and fauna species, and that human personal and social connections to the land. But yeah, unfortunately, Saving Our Species program doesn't actually have any funding that supports or acknowledges that significant traditional knowledge that benefits healthy ecosystems and secures threatened species populations. And the funding's actually structured into different streams around. They have species-specific streams. So some species might be identified as iconic, like the koala. Other species are site-managed species, so they might be managed on a small reserve or on a private property, and resources go into that very site-specific location. Other species are managed on a landscape theme, and they try to benefit that species on that larger scale. And other species are invested in under this program because they're deemed as data deficient, and they don't have enough research behind them. But I guess what I want to point out is that the focus of Saving Our Species to have this focus on these individual entities goes against the holistic approach of Aboriginal land management, where it's people and country walking as one and working together. And so I guess at the start of Saving Our Species, it really provided a lot of challenges for the goodwill of the staff in that program to actually work with Aboriginal land managers and cultural fire practitioners to benefit those species, because it's so constrained to that species-specific ecological outcomes, and there's rarely an opportunity to measure those cultural indicators that might drive benefits for ecosystems or species. And some of those social and cultural values that people have been talking about tonight, you know, aren't mentioned. But look, the past, I think it's been an opportunity for current project staff to really learn and realise that, and we're hoping that the next funding program of Saving Our Species will include an opportunity for those culturally valued values to be appreciated and have associated funding for it. And I think there has been, despite those the challenges in the framework of Saving Our Species, it hasn't stopped individual project officers from, like Dave Hunter that Catherine was just working with on the corroboree frog. He's a Saving Our Species threatened species expert. and there's a number of different projects that I could list, and I might just go through a couple quickly. One of the first interactions that I had personally with cultural burning through the Saving Our Species program was it was through the RFS Hotspots program, and the RFS Hotspots program was working with the Mogo Lauk Rangers, and one of the botanists in Saving Our Species was working with this Mogo Lauk group to do an ecological burn for this this orchid on a block of land that the Lauk manages. And you know, we you know, all of our colleagues were really excited that this was a cultural burn, and that we were contributing to this opportunity to provide government resources and facilitate this connection to country. But we were soon to learn that, you know, an ecological burn for specific species outcomes absolutely was not a cultural burn. It was defined by ecological outcomes that the species monitoring plan had defined, and it was for the species. It wasn't for country or for people. And so that was a really good, a really big learning curve for a lot of people in our organisation, and that sort of led to us sort of putting some financial support behind the National Indigenous Fire Workshop at Bundanon in 2018, and we got to go along and just learn and listen, and yeah, that was incredible. And I guess that's where I was really got to have a first-hand experience about the benefit of this fire, not just for country and species, but for people. And yeah, I'd like to share, I guess, a couple of personal observations from that experience about seeing that fire regime and how it benefits species, but maybe not in the way that those scientific structures allow. So one of the workshops I went to by the Mudjingal Barraga boys, Joel Deves, he was up on Sandridge country at Bundanon, and yeah, there was casuarina forest up there, and yeah, the casuarinas are really important to the glossy black cockatoos. It's their only food source, and those trees are really susceptible to fire. And Joel went on to share that yeah, that he would choose not to burn that country because of the soft needles under the trees. Are a place for family, a safe place for family to you know, gather and connect, and it's a safe place there. So, you know, there's ways that these knowledge systems protect these threatened species that might not meet the exact scientific methodologies, but they're embedded in 100,000 years of knowledge. And yeah, that was, you know, one of those awesome moments where you just like, you know, yes, like, and how, and I guess it's so awesome to hear that there's a growing community of advocates from academics and within government agencies that are going along to these workshops and seeing with their own eyes the benefits, the various benefits for people and country. Another example that I observed when I was at Bundanon was the mosaic nature of these burns, and how when the guys were putting fire onto the country, you know, it wasn't just in a line along a track. You know, they're walking through the bush and reading country and seeing where is or isn't appropriate to burn. So if they see tracks or scats or indications of important flora or fauna, then they can choose where not to put that fire. And other fire regimes, Western hazard reduction fire regimes don't have that ability. So it's very clear that this kind of fire has incredible sensitivity for flora and fauna species. And one of the other main things is the fact that these fire practitioners would never allow the fire to go above head height. And so that's looking after those mother trees as they describe them. And we all know how important those mother trees are for hollows. And one of the, I guess those two things, hollows and that mosaic structure in that burn, are so important for a landscape species like the spotted-tailed quoll, where they need that vegetation structure on the ground for their prey, like long-nosed potoroos and bandicoots. And they need they're fantastic climbers, and they prey on all those hollow dwellers, and they even use those hollows as dens themselves. So yeah, I think that was just another observation about how this kind of land management has these holistic benefits for country and threatened species. And there's another example I wanted to share with you. And yeah, I don't really have much more to say tonight, but I just want to thanks for having me, and yeah, I'll just keep advocating internally for more opportunities for self-determination in managing country.
Thank you, Simon. Yeah, once again, like it's just, I know, like I'm lost for words, but I'm just going back for, from my words of the week, and I've got a list of them there. And, the first one was like stewardship and how we all connect, and that's what we need to do. Then we talked about advocacy, and we're seeing it here now. These guys, everyone's stepping up and providing a voice and putting it out there. Then, there was resilience, and that come about. So it's resilient voices and people and landscape, and that's moving forward. Then we talked about empowerment from week 4 with the women, but yeah, it's women, it's children, it's plant, it's animal. Everyone's sort of empowering us to move together. And my word, into this week, it's knowledge. So it's collecting, those, the stewardship, the advocacy, the resilience and the empowerment into a knowledge system that we need to embrace and to move forward. So that I love it. There's not a lot of questions coming in, so that means you guys are just, you're beautiful. You just, putting that clear-cut message straight out there. But I'm going to share a little personal story of mine, and you can see the photo behind me. It's not a nice photo. It's country, sick and unhealthy. But what I want to try and do is put that behind me, and it's not easy to do, and it's so hard. But but engaging with you guys and the people out in the, webinars and stuff like that, I'm moving forward. You can see that. So my journey's starting to progress, to move forward. Like I've got the heartbreak and, all that behind me, and it's sitting there, and it's in my memory now, and it'll be there for a long time. And and it'll be intergenerational into my children, and, and we learn about, blood memory and that last week. So it's going to be imprinted, but it's sort of with the help of everyone here in this space, I've been able to sort of, move forward, and start, progressing and see some light, at the end of the tunnel. So, yeah, look, I can't thank you enough for that. And, and it's such beautiful. And, yeah, next week it's great. And I've got one question I'd like to ask, and it's probably for Richard. And I've seen it in there. It looks like, did you go fishing today, mate? I think we got a reply saying he did. But but is there any questions come through, or if anyone sort of wants to conclude and add some stuff, and and put some voice in there, and we apologise to everyone sort of in these chat rooms that we can't have like, you know, like the, you know, the inclusive voice in there because it's very hard to manage. But we'll be out and about and we're walking around, you know, and our paths are crossed, you know, each and every one of us. And so, and when that opportunity to come in and, you know, and grab us, and, you know, it's everyone here, you know, like we're all here to work together on this. So, yeah, so that's for me for today. So, yeah, knowledge for me is the power and the fuel that ignites our fire.
Well, thank you, Uncle Nook. You know, like I can see the pride in your face and the humbleness at the same time, hearing everybody speak in the comments coming through. To you, Simon, I've had Carmel say thank you so much for sharing your personal observations. Hearing your experiences is super insightful and very moving and inspiring. And there's lots of, Richard's replied with, yeah, my son stopped at one of his mates over at St George's Basin, so it gave him a chance to put the boat in. There you go. But I do just want to say, you know, I think the thing is, coming from a non-Indigenous perspective, again, because that's all I can do, I think non-Indigenous people maybe are a bit fearful of that really intense connection you have with Mother Earth and the land and country. A lot of us don't understand what that really feels like, and it does come from a little bit of a place of fear at times, I do assume, and I can't speak for everyone, of course. But I think the beautiful thing about what you're offering here, Uncle Noel and, you know, Rosie and everyone else that comes on here, is giving us all the opportunity to come on that journey and learn that connection with you. You know, obviously it's not something we have all innately had in our ancestry on this country, maybe in other countries, but living on this country as non-Indigenous Australians, you know, I feel really privileged that you are taking us on this journey and we are able to walk beside you. So thank you so much. And thank you, Simon. I know you've done so much with us as well, and I'm so inspired by you and everything you're doing within those internal agencies, and we need more people like you in those internal agencies to be an advocate for all of these things. And I want to say thank you to Leanne. I'm not sure where she's gone. I think she's had internet troubles tonight. But Leanne did, and I'll put it in our link on our website.
I'm just having internet troubles. Every time I turn my screen on, the bandwidth is low. So I'm here in the background cheering you guys on. It's been amazing listening to you guys. My apologies.
Oh no, don't apologise. I'm just sorry not to see your beautiful face. But I know, Leanne, we're all starting to receive our shirts. Catherine, can you stand up and show everybody your shirt?
I can, and it's so beautiful. I was so excited it arrived today and I could wear it tonight. It's a lovely quality and the design is fantastic. So I don't know how well you can see that.
Yay, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really proud of how they've came out. They're great. Yeah, they look like a nice comfy fit too. And they have the Fire Sticks logo on the back. I'm not sure if you can hear me because my screen's just frozen again, but yeah, I can't wait to receive mine. So if you haven't got your shirt yet, get in there and grab one and support. I think next week will be our last week to purchase them. So if you haven't grabbed one, please do so.
Yeah, can you send the link, you know, that email to Rosie too, please?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so we'll also put the link on our website. If you click on the webinar link, you'll be able to find all the recordings from the last this one and the last 4 recordings, and also the link to the t-shirts. We'll get that on in the next day or 2. And if you haven't got your t-shirts yet and you've ordered one, don't panic. They will be here. They just wait for a certain amount to come in and then they get ordered and shipped out. So just to save on, you know, I guess excessive, you know, carbon emissions and doing 1 or 2. It's like, let's do a bulk order and get them done all at one time and post it out together. So yeah, thank you everyone. I can't wait for next week being our last week. I'm so grateful for everyone that's come on here tonight and to continue working with all of you and sharing these stories with everyone. And thank you for letting us hold this space for you. So thank you. And thank you, Dean, once again for making this happen.
Always thank you.
Already, see, he calls himself a guru.
Yeah. You can learn a thing or two, Nook.
Oh, well, thank you.
So I apologise, but if I've missed it because I keep dropping out, has anyone mentioned what the theme for next week is?
No, you are. Thank you. That's our closing with Leanne.
Yeah, definitely don't miss next week. And hopefully this doesn't freeze while I'm talking, because I think I just kept talking before and I was frozen. But next week will be our last topic, which is where to from here. So this is where we get to look into the future and all of our aspirations and see what's happening out on country, all the good work that's happening, and really get a sense of where we can move forward together. So don't miss it. It should be a cracker, and it's our last one too. So yeah, jump on, get your tickets now and jump on.
Last one for now. We don't know what the future holds.
Oh, we could keep going. we could keep going for weeks. We've got so much to say.
Oh, look, I'm really keen to meet every one of you, eh? So yeah, really looking forward to that, and hopefully we can do it face to face real soon, eh?
Yeah, I will add to that for the viewers that or the listeners and the viewers that we did have a big workshop planned. We were hoping to get, you know, like 800 people there or something crazy like that. And I think we would have at the time, but then COVID came and we had to can that event, which was a real shame, but we didn't can it, we postponed it. So now that we've got this out of the way, we will have so much more to share when we actually get the chance to do it. So I guess it's a blessing in disguise.
Cool.
Great. There's so many comments coming through, you know, like, thank you again for another inspiring and motivated session. And yeah, apologies, I keep dropping out, someone said, but thanks again to all the speakers. Much appreciation to everyone tonight. It has been beautiful learning experiences these past few weeks. There's just so much here. And Richard's actually offered up a rather large hall. He said not 800 in the hall, but along the beach and the surroundings. So that sounds like a pretty good option. Thanks, Richard. Oh, Sussex Inlet Surf Club. I know that one. I'm running a Take 3 for the C program there. So I'll probably see you, Richard. That's pretty cool.
And I've already made contact to Crown Lands to burn it. So yeah, we opened up that journey, Richard. So that happened this week.
Oh, good. Awesome. Oh, Richard, I have to make contact with you. Yeah, so funnily enough, Richard's at Sussex Inlet Surf Club and we're doing some filming there with Jamie, who for our Take 3 for the C program, Uncle Nook, which is all about, removing and preventing marine debris from entering the ocean. And the guy that's doing the filming for us is doing the filming for Catherine, Jamie. So yeah, it's pretty cool. We're going to be doing some awesome stuff.
All right. I think footy's kicking off, so
I think so. We better go. Let everyone go and eat.
Take care, everyone. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
It's been great. Such a lovely space, friendly, welcoming space to present. It's really lovely.
Aw, thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right. Thanks
Thank
again.
you,
We'll talk
Rosie.
soon, eh?
Thanks, Simon.
You guys,
Thank you.
thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.